everyone, and welcome back to our final episode of this Sauerpuss adventure. Here is where we left off in our last episode. The spirit consumed the mountain in my dreams, and darkness filled the mountain, and soon the entire island. Let's try to stay positive, exclaimed Sauerpuss, and let's see if we can find the great golden pumpkin and help get the balance back to the island before running into that spirit. And so the old Dreamweaver saw the three adventurers off and waved goodbye and said, "I wish you well. Keep on the path. You will know you are getting close when you enter the old cemetery. And sweet dreams." She laughed. Then a somber look came to her face. And so, Sauerpuss, Rachel, and Ick were back on their way. They had set their sights on perhaps the greatest challenge of their journey, the great mountain of spirits, and the mystery that surrounded it was within their sights. By this point, a deeper darkness had fallen on the island. The three adventurers made their way down around the steep, windy cliffs of the mountain until they came to an old cemetery. They were careful and walked very slowly and stayed on the stone path as not to disturb the spirits. Despite their cautiousness, faint yet growing ever louder whispers of the restless spirits continued to surround them as they journeyed through the old cemetery. Soon, Sauerpuss, Rachel, and Ick arrived at the foot of the Mountain of Spirits. Before them stood the entrance known as Stony Skull, because of its likeness to a huge skeleton skull head.
Well, I guess this is it. We finally made it to the Mountain of Spirits, and it's just as the Dreamweaver said
Rachel. "What a spooky-looking place. This even makes me a little nervous," quivered Ick. "Well, we have come this far. The answers we seek to this mystery must be found in there, somewhere," said Sauerpuss. As they started to enter the cave, they felt a cold rush of air pass by them. "That must be a spirit heading out for the night. I hear it gets late early around here." "Hoo-hoo-hoo," chuckled Sauerpuss. "It sure is dark. I don't know how well we will be able to see." Before Sauerpuss was able to finish his sentence, a bright glow zipped from behind them and suddenly stopped, hovering in front. The glow had come from Candy. "Hey, you are back!" exclaimed Sauerpuss. "Right on cue. Well, little one, lead the way." And the four of them, with their path lit by Candy's glow, entered into the cave. Concerned about getting lost, they stuck closely together as they began to explore the caverns. The caverns were damp, from all the moisture. A dripping sound could be heard coming from some unknown source. In front of them, they heard noises echoing throughout the twisted caverns. It was as the Dreamweaver had said, it would be easy to get lost in such a maze. As they continued, they could hear another strange sound. What could that be, they thought to themselves, not wanting to make any sudden noise. The cave was dark and full of caverns and winding tunnels. "What's that?" Sourpuss asked softly, pointing to a shadow moving just beyond a large cavern stalactite formation. Slowly, a figure began to come out from the shadows. Candy went towards the figure to get a better look. A sheepish young werewolf emerged, and then it spoke. "It's just me, Eek. I'm so glad to see you, buddy," exclaimed Ick.
I am Rachel, and this is Sourpuss.
Candy intensified her glow. "Oh, and this is Candy," said Sourpuss. "Hello, everyone," said Eek. "What happened? Have you been here the whole time?" a curious Ick asked. I have been in these caverns. I lost my way, and now I'm hiding from the creepy, scary pumpkin heads. They're after me," a worried Eek said, sounding a bit exasperated. "But why are they after you?" asked Sourpuss. "I took something." "What?" Ick asked. "I took this big golden pumpkin." "Oh, that's why we are here, to see what happened to the great golden pumpkin," exclaimed Sourpuss. Eek then told them of what had happened. Eek had thought that the most spectacular trick of all to play on Halloween was to take and hide the great golden pumpkin. So one day he traveled to the Mountain of Spirits, and after hours of searching, Eek finally found the great cavern and the great golden pumpkin sitting proudly, glowing on its pedestal, surrounded by the court of pumpkins. After tricking a group of bats in the cave, Eek was carried by the bats over the court of pumpkins and landed him on the edge of the platform that was somehow magically suspended above what seemed to be a bottomless cavern below. He then managed to take the great golden pumpkin that glowed a brilliant golden orange. The bats then carried Eek over the court of pumpkins and back to the ground. What Eek did not realize, however, was that by taking the great golden pumpkin, he had unknowingly taken Halloween out of balance on the island, including the tradition of trick-or-treating. And this was the cause of so much unhappiness on Halloween Island, because once this had occurred, there was no more treating on Halloween each day. Only tricks were then allowed to be played, and everyone on the island grew weary and sad, because despite each night when they would go out excited for the possibility of more treats, they soon would realize that no treats were to be found. Only tricks were happening, and this made all the people and creatures of Halloween Island very, very sad. And not only did Eek's action take Halloween out of balance, but he also upset the Great Spirit of the mountain, for it was the Great Spirit who looked after the great golden pumpkin. Moments after Eek was able to remove the great golden pumpkin and have the bats fly him beyond the court of pumpkins, it began to happen. Just after he had taken a few steps away from the chamber, the great golden pumpkin's glow burned hotter and began to emit a stream of smoky haze. The great golden pumpkin then turned hot as fire, causing Eek to suddenly drop the pumpkin. Then the great golden pumpkin turned dark as the smoky haze continued and filled the chamber. I then heard an awful sound and became scared, so I took off running. I thought I remembered how to get out, but the pumpkins found me and chased after me. When I finally got away from them, I realized I had gotten lost, and I have been wandering around ever since. I thought this was going to be the best trick ever. Oh, boy, was I wrong. Oh, what have I done? It's all my fault, Eek said, feeling ashamed. We all make mistakes, Eek. What counts is what we do next to make things better, said Sourpuss assuredly. What we need to do is find that great golden pumpkin and get it back to where it belongs. Maybe then things will get better. We should get going because it's getting close to trick-or-treating time again. Let's go! They all knew what had to be done and agreed to find the great golden pumpkin with the hope of getting things back to how they were. So with a clear mission, the group of now 5 set off and found themselves deeper and deeper in the mountain caverns. As they walked, they could hear eerie sounds of ghostly spirits, but could not make out where the sounds were coming from because of the echoing. It wasn't long before they began to hear the sound of running water, like a stream. We must be close, said Eek. I could hear the water when I neared the big cavern. We must be careful here because the pathway is narrowing and is very slippery. Just then, out of nowhere swooped down a group of bats and flew right at them. Sauerpuss tried to avoid the bats, causing him to slip, and he began to fall over the edge.
Sauerpuss, look out!
Exclaimed Rachel. Rachel quickly reached as he was falling, but she could not get to Sauerpuss in time as he fell out of sight. One bat was able to grab Candy and flew away with her. She cried. The others shooed the bats away. As quickly as they had come, the bats flew away. They were relieved, but now Candy was gone, and so was her light, and Sauerpuss was separated from his friends. However, lucky for him, Sauerpuss had fallen just a level below and was able to land safely.
Sauerpuss, are you okay?
Rachel yelled down to Sauerpuss below. Although he could not reach, Sauerpuss called up. I think so, but I can't reach you from here. I'll go this way and find a way to meet up. We have got to find the great golden pumpkin.
I will go with Ick and Eek and we'll find a way down to reach you. Let's go, you two.
So the friends were then separated. Rachel, Ick, and Eek went on their way with Eek leading. And now alone, it was up to Sauerpuss to make his way through the darkness and to try to find a way back to his friends and to find the great golden pumpkin. As he made his way through the darkness, Sauerpuss could see a faint light illuminating the curved walls far down the winding cavern. He continued to look, and he could see that the light was moving, and was moving fast. The glow was seemingly headed directly towards Sauerpuss. With the light suddenly only a few meters in front, he immediately recognized the colorful warm light. It was Candy. Somehow, she must have been able to escape from the bats. Sauerpuss was happy to no longer be alone. Candy was also happy to find Sauerpuss. She had been looking all over the caverns for her new friend. Now she could light their way together. So Sauerpuss and Candy began making their way through the cavern. The path seemed to keep getting narrower as they went along. They continued to hear eerie sounds echoing around them. Then they came to the end of the narrow cavern path, which turned into a vast open space.
Whoa!
Sauerpuss said in awe.
Could this be the great pumpkin chamber?
As they looked around, they thought that it must be the place where the great golden pumpkin once proudly beamed brightly. Except for Candy's glow, the chamber was very dark and looked empty. All that was there was an expansive stone ring held up by pillars that encircled a larger single stone pillar in the center. The large pillar appeared to be suspended in the air by some sort of magic, hovering above a dark, bottomless cavern below. There were no pumpkin guardians to be found, except for one lone creepy stone pumpkin at the end of the ring's opening. Even with no great golden pumpkin to be found, the grand chamber was still an amazing place to see. As they continued to look around, they heard something flutter above them. Then it flew back again. It was another bat.
"Oh no, not bats again,"
sighed Sourpuss, but the bat kept fluttering around them. It seemed as though it wanted Sourpuss to follow it. Knowing that they still needed to find the great golden pumpkin and their friends, Sourpuss and Candy thought that they had nothing to lose, so decided to follow the bat. They would explore yet another windy tunnel. The bat zoomed ahead. Sourpuss started to run in order to keep up with the bat, but then thought perhaps that might not be such a wise decision. However, it wasn't long before the bat stopped. When Sourpuss and Candy caught up with the bat, it had landed near a very large object. The object looked like it was made of deep, dark purple glass.
"I wonder what that is?"
questioned Sourpuss. Candy then flew above the object and increased her glow. Both were amazed when they realized that this was a huge, dark, shiny pumpkin.
"This couldn't be the great golden pumpkin,"
wondered Sourpuss. Then the bat spoke.
"Why, of course it is. That's why I brought you here. I need your help to try to get it back on the pedestal where it belongs. I am going batty in here because of all the crazy flying pumpkins, and the Great Spirit is growing more powerful and angry."
"But how can we get over there?" asked Sourpuss, having seen the pillar above the vast cavern below.
"When we get back to the chamber, my friends and I can carry you over to the pillar, and you can place the great golden pumpkin back."
"Sure, we will help." Sourpuss was able to lift the pumpkin, and with the help of the little bat and his friend, they carried the great golden pumpkin down the winding cavern and back to the grand chamber. Just as they entered the grand chamber, a sound of footsteps, panting, and evil laughing could be heard. Then out from a tunnel on the other side of the chamber ran out Eek, Ick, and Rachel. They screamed as they ran by Sourpuss. Ick cried out. Yelped Eek.
"Here we are, Sourpuss! Boy, we are glad to see you!"
Rachel yelled as the three were being chased by screaming, glowing jack-o'-lanterns. The five friends met at the Grand Guardian Stone Ring. They soon found themselves surrounded by the court of creepy flying jack-o'-lanterns. They flew wildly around the friends to contain them together. Soon, a deep moaning voice could be heard, and a dark hazy smoke began to fill the grand chamber from the deep cavern below. Then a dark presence entered the chamber. They all knew that they were in the presence of the great mountain spirit. Out from the haze emerged an undescribable, massive form. As the spirit approached Sauerpuss, it transformed from a formless presence into an enormous, hairy monster with large horns. Its piercing eyes and huge mouth, full of sharp teeth, growled at Sauerpuss and began to creep closer. It then reached with its large, creepy hands and sharp claws toward Sauerpuss. It was too frightening to watch, thought the other friends. Then, at that moment, Sauerpuss got an idea. Maybe this creature was hungry. Perhaps his stomach was the growling that caused the monster to be so mean. Sauerpuss remembered the satchel that the Dreamweaver had given to him. He reached inside to see what he could find. Amazed, Sauerpuss pulled out his favorite peanut butter cups candy and reached out his paw and presented the candy to the creature. And at that moment, something amazing happened. The creature, ready to swipe at Sauerpuss, suddenly stopped. The orange wrapper of the candy caught the attention of the monster.
"What's this?"
The monster scowled. "It's for you. Today is Halloween, and this is my treat to share with you. But every day is Halloween here on Halloween Island," quipped Ick.
But no one has ever given me a treat before,"
said the monster. And then, right before their eyes, the monster began to evolve from a scary to a not-so-scary monster, and then to a much nicer monster. He slowly took the candy, opened the package, and took a bite of one of the cups.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. I haven't had one of these in ages. My favorite Halloween treat.
"Hey, they are a favorite of mine, too," exclaimed Sauerpuss. And with that, magically, the monster transformed yet again into that of a hairy little old troll. He was no taller than Sauerpuss. "What just happened?" asked Sauerpuss.
Happened? I'll tell you what just happened. You gave me a treat. For you see, Sauerpuss, by the simple act of giving, and this monster hasn't received a treat in a very long time, you have helped to bring back balance to Halloween and to Halloween Island.
Sauerpuss then noticed the stick that the old troll had in his hand. Could this be the same troll that he met by the troll bridge? The old troll's eye sparkled, because he knew what Sauerpuss wondered. For you see, this troll was much more than a guardian of a bridge. "I am beginning to believe that you are more than a bridge troll, but also the protector of Halloween Island." "Really?" asked an astonished Ick.
One can never be sure. After all, this
is Halloween Island. The troll and Sauerpuss together chuckled. Then the troll raised his staff, and the orb at its end began to spin and glow. Clearing his throat, the troll said,
So let's get this pumpkin back to where it belongs. Yippee!
Yippee! Yippee! They all cheered. With the help of his magical staff in hand, the old troll elevated the great golden pumpkin high into the air above, and soon it began to glow again, a brilliant golden orange. They were all amazed at such a brilliant sight. As the great golden pumpkin was gently placed back onto its pillar in the center of the chamber, even more brilliant light of glowing beams emitted from the magical pumpkin. The beams then transformed into golden-colored spirits, which filled the entire chamber. They then began to race throughout the caverns of the mountain until they found their way outside through cave openings around the mountain of spirits. Everyone on the island soon realized that the balance to Halloween had been brought back to Halloween Island. The troll then turned to the adventurers, who still looked amazed because of what had just happened, and said to them with a smile,
My wish for you, my fine adventurers, is to always remember that it's far better to share the goodies and treats than to only do tricks to those we meet on Halloween. Because, as a tradition, with tricks also in return comes treating. And that's why on Halloween Island we get to join in the fun of trick and treating.
And so the great golden pumpkin was back, surrounded by its court of happy pumpkins, and the spirit of Halloween was happy again. Soon, all of the trick and treaters were out enjoying the treasured tradition. The 5 friends then went on their way. As they waved goodbye to the old troll, the bat followed them until they reached the exit of the mountain. They then headed back into town, where everyone was celebrating, including Jack at the Jack-o'-lantern Inn. It was good to see Halloween Island back to how it was meant to be. The children and all the creatures of the island could once again join in the fun and celebrations of the fall, of Halloween, and especially of going out for trick and treating. It was soon close to midnight, and Sourpuss and Rachel headed back to Granny's house, where she had just baked some special Halloween goodies. And Sourpuss was looking forward to taking some of Granny's goodies along with him to enjoy on his journey home. They both greeted Granny with a hug as they entered the house, and then went straight for the goodies in the kitchen, with Granny calling out,
But don't eat too much tonight,
she said,
because tomorrow is Halloween.
The end.